This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. There's a lot of stuff going on today, so let's get straight into it. So first of all, update on motor yacht Garcon and Halo. They have been crossing the Atlantic, and in the last video, a couple of days ago, they were approaching Gibraltar and they had their destinations as Casablanca and Agadir in Morocco. In that video, I said that there was no likelihood that they were heading there now, and Halo had already changed the destination to Tangier Med. And after I'd filmed that video and as I was editing that video, Garcon also changed its destination to the same place. I put it on the text as I was editing and in the banner. However, since then, they have both changed their destinations again. Halo is now showing a different destination, as you can see on the screen here. So there is a technical term in the industry, and we call it plain silly buggers. And they're just changing their destinations. I suppose they think that they're keeping people confused about what's going on, but they're heading in a straight line, so it doesn't really matter. Almost certain that they're going to Turkey to join the rest of Abramovich's fleet out there. Anyway, we'll move on from that story. The big news is, of course, is that after a lot of debate and a lot of threats, the vessel known as Y721, a 130 odd meter sailing yacht that's being built at Oceanco in the Netherlands, is finally moved. So the backstory was that people found out that they were going to complete the vessel at the shipyard, Oceanco shipyard, and then remove a center section of a historic bridge in Rotterdam. And this irked the locals there, which for good reason. That bridge was one of the first things to be repaired after the end of World War II. And after more maintenance in 2017, the government there said that they will never dismantle this bridge again. Now, I have heard stories that there was a provision put in that the center section could be removed 2 times per year for necessity of this kind of thing. But I think the fact that the vessel belongs to Jeff Bezos, or allegedly belongs to Jeff Bezos, has not been confirmed yet. That was the problem with this particular vessel. And obviously, if you'll remember, if you watch my videos, that a group of people got together on Facebook and they arranged to go down to the bridge and throw eggs at the yacht as it passed by. Now, it sounds funny, I know, but the reality is Jeff Bezos is not going to be on board. The shipyard personnel would have been on board along with the yacht crew, and they were the ones that would have been potentially assaulted by whatever was thrown, because other things could have been thrown as well as eggs, right? So anyway, they scrapped that plan to take the vessel down completed. And this is the thing that I've said all along, that it sounds obvious, or seems obvious to me, that all they have to do is sail the mast down on a barge or something, and then tow the yacht down past that bridge, past the obstruction, and then put the masts in afterwards. Now, the shipyard didn't want to do that because they said it was better to do it in their facility, because they've got all of their equipment there and it's easier for them. But obviously, once they got wind of this potential threat, they obviously decided it was safer for everybody to not do that. So the masts were transported. They did go through that area where the bridge is. But yesterday morning, 2nd of August, the yacht was moved in the darkness, using a cover of darkness to get this vessel to its destination. So they actually took a different route, bypassing that bridge altogether. In a German newspaper called Der Spiegel, somebody was there who was there trying to take photographs of the boat, said that the people on board were shining searchlights towards anybody who was there with a camera, or anybody who was trying to observe what was going on, making it very difficult for anybody to take any photographs. It's kind of understandable, really, considering the threats that were put against the vessel. but the vessel's been moved to another facility, and they're going to erect the masts there, and then hopefully soon they'll go for sea trials, and then the vessel will be delivered to her owner, which is supposedly Jeff Bezos. It's going to be interesting to see how that vessel is received when it goes to other ports, when the vessel is actually, after the vessel's delivered, isn't it? All right, so we've got some sanctions news. The US government have released a new list of sanctions. Now, we've been through the list, and the standout people on that list are two people, Andrey Guryev and Andrey Guryev. So they are father and son, and they have been named in this latest round, as I said. And Andrey Guryev, born in 1982, and he's lives in Russia, in Moscow, in Russia. And Andrey Grigorievich Guryev, born in 1960, that's the father. He also owns one of the biggest properties in London. I think it's second only to Buckingham Palace, and it's 41 Highgate West Hill in London. That's in the sanctions, by the way. That's listed there as his address. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because the US government has also added some more yachts to the sanctions list. Now, the first one is motor yacht Alfa Nero. Now, that Alfa Nero actually belongs to Andrey Guryev. So both the Guryevs, it's hard to know which one I'm talking about, but the father Guryev, and the son, they were both sanctioned in March by the EU and by the UK. And now the US has followed suit and put sanctions on them too. Now, since they were sanctioned, Alfa Nero has been sat in the Caribbean, and it's not been arrested as such. But the fact is that because of the sanctions, they are unable to pay the fees for crew, and they're unable to move money around, especially through the US system. It's actually illegal for them to pay money in any US systems like SWIFT and stuff like that. And that's basically crippled their ability to use the yacht. So the yacht's been sat out there with a skeleton crew in Antigua. Now, interestingly, today, since then, I've had some alerts about them changing the AIS status. Now, the vessel hasn't moved anywhere as I film this, but the AIS destination was updated today, not to anywhere, but to somewhere else in the island. But it's interesting that the day after sanctions are placed on Mr. Guryev, that the vessel suddenly hasn't pinged anything for a long time, and suddenly today it has. What is missing from this list of sanctions, and this is something that the US government might not yet be aware of, but there is another yacht belonging to the Guryevs that is affected by the sanctions placed on them, and that's motor yacht Luminosity. Now, Luminosity has been sat in Montenegro, in Tivat in Montenegro. It's been sat there for the same length of time that Alfa Nero has been sat in the Caribbean, more or less. Now, the reason why they might have missed this one is because the vessel was purchased, and it was purchased a week before they were sanctioned. So the vessel was basically delivered to Montenegro by the shipyard, because the backstory of Luminosity is that the original owner refused delivery of that vessel, and so the shipyard was trying to sell it, and then they sold it to Andrey Guryev, and a week after it was delivered to Montenegro, he was sanctioned. Now, because of that, that vessel also has a minimum crew on board and hasn't gone anywhere for that whole time. So I'm not quite sure what's happening with the crew on board either of these vessels, how they're getting paid, if they're being paid at all, because like I said, because of the sanctions, they're unable to transfer money through the normal systems. But the fact that they've still got crew on board suggests that some payments is being made in some way, or maybe promises of payment after this is all over. I don't know. If anybody's got any information, please get in touch about that one. But yeah, that's very interesting that boat is not on the list of sanctions, although it is owned by Mr. Guryev. I believe the senior, but I might be wrong on that one too. So yeah, that's quite an interesting turn of events with the sanctions there on the Guryevs. So now there's one other vessel that was placed on the sanctions list, and this one's a bit confusing. On that same list that was published yesterday, motor yacht Axioma has been added to that list. Now, if you watch my channel regularly, you'll know that that vessel's already been seized and is sat in Gibraltar. It's been seized by the Admiralty Court in Gibraltar and is due to be sold this month on the 23rd of August this month. That vessel's going to be sold at auction because the vessel was seized by the Admiralty for debt owed to JP Morgan. So I'm a little bit confused why they've added that vessel to the sanctions list, because in 3 weeks time it's not going to be owned by the current owner or the owner of that boat before it was seized, and that's Dmitry Pompiansky. Now that vessel's already been taken from him, so I'm a little bit confused. I think there might have just been some cross wires there, and the US has put that on there, not realizing that vessel's already been sanctioned. All right, I'm going to leave it there. A lot of information to go through there, to digest there. A lot of movements. You get these days where everything seems to happen in one period of time, but very interesting nonetheless. If you've got any information about anything that we've talked about in this video, please get in touch. You know, the normal way, through the About page of YouTube. You can get us through Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, and you can get us with the app Threema also. All right, thanks very much for watching. Be sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for future notifications. Most of the people who watch this channel are not subscribers. Almost 70% are not subscribers. So just hit that bell. It's free of charge. You won't get charged anything. And I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye. And breaking news as we finish, the super yacht Y720 is finally leaving the Netherlands, heading along the river to open seas. The yacht, the largest built by Ocean Co prior to Y721, of course, is believed to be the new yacht for Steven Spielberg and is expected to be renamed Seven Seas once delivered.